Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by my personal and Knuckles himself, Tucker Hazell, and we're here today to talk about Sonic Origins. Got the shirt, got the figure, but here's the situation, ladies and gentlemen. We're not really here to review the game instead. We're here to have a knockdown, drag-out discussion we've already recorded prior to the intro about whether or not Sega was correct in framing Sonic Origins the way they did. But that's an interesting concept to you. Stick around after the plugs, because first I'm going to tell you to talk to us about Sonic in the Discord. Link as usual, right below our SEO-filled keyword stuff, little paragraph thing right for you. And then after you join the Discord, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment about, stick with me here, folks. It's a bit of a crazy request.
It's gonna be tough.
Describe to me what you think a biblically accurate Sonic the Hedgehog looks like, because I want to know. But what I want to know before that is what Tucker Hazell has to say on this topic, but actually, I already know. Cut to the video.
But here's the thing about Sonic Origins, is this was announced, I believe, a little over a year ago at the Sonic Central of last summer, and we were sitting there watching it, and they were sort of talking about, like, hey, these games are coming, these games that have been out for 30 years, but, you know, we gotta take time to work on it. And they didn't really say what it was, and the rollout of the information about this game was a little bit weird, and certainly kneecapped by this game's marketing, which was peculiar, because they revealed it alongside the weird format that this game is being sold on with DLC and expansion packs and a music pack and all this sort of stuff. And for me, as the burgeoning Sonic fan that I am, over the last few months, you and I have both played quite a number of Sonic games. You've even got a shirt, you've even got a guy. But I was interested in this because it would be easy access to Sonic 3, which is a game that I didn't have access to otherwise. But I was a little bit hesitant that it would be super exciting because it was hard to really tell what changes were going to be made, and also because these games have been released tons of times, and I would say even in some other collections that make this one feel a little bit weird and lacking in some regards.
Yeah, I don't care. Here's the situation with Sonic Origins, right?
Uh-oh.
There are 18,000 ways you could tear this game down. You could talk about, here's the thing. I bought that deluxe edition. I don't even know what was in it, right?
You saw $5 extra you could spend on Sonic, and you're like, oh, boy, I do that every 5 minutes. Might as well do it today.
Basically, my thought process was like, it's fucking $5 difference.
Yeah.
I might as well just pay $5 and get whatever the full Sonic Origins experience is. I don't know. If you're a hardcore Sonic fan, you already hate Sonic Origins, and we're not going to trash. I'm not going to trash it. I don't know what Tucker's going to do. I didn't fucking give him a script before this video started.
Crumple.
The situation about Sonic Origins is that there are so many vectors of viable attack for this game, right? Hardcore fans don't like a lot of the changes here. They're finding visual and technical glitches that I can't, for the life of me, uncover in my playthrough. Yeah. And then the other angle, which does bother me, that is worth talking about, is the preservation angle, right? Mm-hmm. Sega deliberately delisted most versions of the games in this collection on most digital storefronts. Now, you can get the Sonic Ages version of Sonic 1 and 2, and 2 is on SO, but you can't go on Steam and buy.
And they're both on the Sega Genesis Classics Collection, which is on every modern platform.
But you can't go on Steam anymore and get Sonic CD, and Sonic CD is not in those other places. And you can't Sonic 2, I believe, is been delisted also. So there's a fucking major storm around this game, right? But I don't care, because ultimately Sonic Origins is, for us, more fair weather Sonic fans, in my opinion, a very not only accessible but feature rich way to play these classic games from 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Sega could have woken up in the morning and said, you know what, fuck it, guys. We're never going to announce this game today. We're just going to drop a Sonic collection on the eShop. I wouldn't care about the marketing. Ultimately, all I wanted out of Sonic Origins was an accessible, modernized version of these 4 Sonic games, and I think that's what we got. Does that discount all of the shit around it? No, but it's not my job to speak for anybody other than myself. So while I'm super disappointed by the preservation angle, and I think the DLC is fucking weird, and hardcore fans have a very different review than I would, those are just asterisks I put to and say, go fucking look at Stuart. Go, my pal Stuart, on Twitter. He'll tell you everything wrong with this collection, but I can't do that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily think I come down hard on it or particularly praising it, because I do think what is here is good. All right, let's spin a little yarn. The other day, I'm turning on Sonic Origins for the first time. You're like, Tucker, I want your live reaction to the menus in Sonic
Yeah,
Origins because apparently they're notorious, which I had not necessarily seen on Twitter. So I launched the game and I was like, they look fine. They've got these little islands in the background.
sure.
We assume that the animated little characters on these islands are because of the $5 extra that he spent, which is weird, really strange that you're even able to pay to add these to the game.
That also, by the way, might not even be
Might
true.
not be true.
But that's
Might not be
Sega's
true.
fault that we don't know.
No, yeah,
That's
exactly.
Sega's
But it
fault
says
that we
like
don't know.
animate. You're paying $5 for like animations in the menus. So like, who knows? But I was like, and I feel like to good is kind of just how I feel about this because I think for
Sure.
what is here, it's good from my point of view.
Yeah.
I can't tell the differences between the physics or the difference in the aspect ratio and stuff like that. The games look good to great for especially
Right.
for the games as old they are. They run well. I like the fact that you can play them through in a story mode with the cutscenes in between. The cutscenes probably the highest production value aspect of the game. All these games have extra characters in it. They are running in widescreen. I think these
Yeah.
are all good changes on the whole. But as someone who is not a hardcore Sonic fan, but recognizes how much there is to this series,
Right.
this collection feels weird to me because these games have been re-released in multiple collections over the course of game
Sure.
history, and this collection is so focused on the 4 games that it has. I feel like it doesn't feel rich enough for me. I really think that this, maybe if it wasn't, fully remastered versions or widescreen versions or changed in any way versions of these other games, they should have had Sonic Spinball in there and the fucking Tails Game Gear game and these things. Like Sonic Origins should mean the Mega Drive version of Sonic 1. It should mean giving you access to
Sure.
all these old games, but instead it's just 4 games which are worth about $5 each that you can get in plenty of other ways. And yeah, it's the best way to play these games, but paying $40 for just these 4 games and some extra things to boost them up, I just don't necessarily think that this is the best they could have done with this collection. And I feel like it should be more comprehensive because we know they can be more comprehensive. Looking at the Mega Collection on GameCube, it's got more content than this game. Of course, those games aren't improved in the same ways, but they are probably not that much worse to where you would be okay with spending so much more money on this as opposed to the other one.
I mean, the intent, it just comes down to what the intention of the package is, right? I think that there is probably, there is obviously value in a Capcom Konami style collection of early Sonic games, right?
Yeah.
And I would have been interested in that, sure.
Mm-hmm.
As you're saying, bringing not only the Mega Drive versions of these games, but I think more interestingly, like the Mega Drive versions of Triple Trouble and Sonic Chaos and things like that.
So like spin-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Put that in a collection, sure, that's fine, and that would have been nice, especially because a lot of those games are, it's Sega CD is not super easy to access, but especially Sonic 3 and Knuckles was since I believe 2011 was its last re-release. So but all of those other games that you're talking about are on that level of rarity. So I would have appreciated that collection too. But ultimately, that is for better or worse, or in my opinion, just as a net neutral, not what Sega was trying to accomplish with Sonic Origins. What they were trying to do is say, here are the 4 Genesis, the 4 Genesis games. You got to fucking chuck a Sega CD on there and fucking jam 2 cartridges together, right? But technically, those are all Sega Genesis games, right? But they wanted to present those and they wanted to modernize them and they wanted to sort of build them out into something that I think is fairly impressive, because on a core level, we can talk about the actual modernizations. I think these games benefit greatly from being 16:9.
Yeah.
Now I know that some people don't agree with that. I know that like one of the bosses has added like pillars around the side and people don't like how it looks and everything. Again, I'm not the sort of Sonic fan who's going to be able to know that.
Yeah.
So when I look at
You've never played Sonic 1 or 3 or CD until this game.
Right. Well, I never beaten Sonic 1. So it was interesting seeing like the last couple of zones in that game. We can talk about that a little bit if we want to. But like to me, these games now feel like they're on a presentational parity with like Sonic Mania. Now, obviously, it's a different pixel art aesthetic, but I think a game like Sonic 3 and Knuckles looks as good as Sonic Mania, just for different reasons. And this sort of gap between that 2017 game and these is narrowed by having them 16:9 and cleaned up. Like I was telling you, maybe it was on a BLB episode, we were just talking privately. I tried playing Sonic 3, the Xbox 360 version through Series X, and it looks like shit.
Sure.
Now, for a collection of this caliber, it's kind of the bare minimum to make them look good.
Yeah.
But not just letterboxing them in 4x3 and saying, here's like a clip art of Knuckles to fill in the
Yes.
barriers. Doing the work to bring them up to
Which,
4x3
by
and
the way, you did
good.
pay money for extra letterboxed backgrounds.
I'm sure I probably did. But I like that first off. I'm not sure you're gonna have any kind of counterpoint because you're not the Sonic fan who would know
No, I mean,
either.
I think the 16 by 9 is the biggest thing about this. Frankly,
Sure.
I don't think the visual improvements are particularly noticeable. I played Sonic 2 like a month ago, and I
Yeah.
played a couple zones of Sonic 2 now. I honestly can't really tell the difference other
Yeah.
than 16 by 9. I think these games were technically impressive for the time, and they are in higher resolution through the Sega Genesis Classics Collection and through Sonic 2 on NSO and stuff like that. They're not that much improved here to where it was like a
Sure.
noticeable, this is what these games should have looked like. But I do think that having them be in 16 by 9 as well as the addition of the drop dash and multiple characters in them, that's where the real value and care of this package comes. And I think that's why I recognize that you're right, their intent was for these games, but
Yeah.
I do think that it should have been for these games. This should have been the focus, but I think it easily could have and should have been supported by a
Sure.
wider breadth of Sonic's old content, especially for the price that they're charging it for.
I mean, I don't think it's an unfair price personally,
Hmm.
because that's like $10 a game. And
Yeah,
to me, that's not unreasonable when the games already go for $7.99 or if on as the Sega Ages versions or
sure, but
4.99 is
also people complain about those prices as well. When you can get Sega Genesis Classics Collection
yeah,
with 60 games in it for $30, then and these are improved but not enough to where you want to pay 3 times the price for them. That's where the price difference becomes a little bit apparent. Also, the fact that it's not the first time that these games have been re-released on this console or even in collections that we've had in previous generations, as I was saying.
sure. I mean, I just think that like the intention of the package is to make each of these games feel more. And there is, if
Yeah.
they charge $9.99 for this, what is ostensibly a remake of
Hmm.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles with all the features here, that is a worthwhile piece of content because
Sure.
it again, it is not just Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, and Sonic CD. It is not only are they in 16 by 9, not only are they visually improved, but then you have the mission mode and you have the mirror mode and the boss rush mode and all of this. And to me, that's sort of where the value ends up coming in.
Sure.
Because why I appreciate this collection is that it is about more than just simply running back through the Sonic games. It's
Hmm.
about sort of recontextualizing elements of them. And that's
Sure.
why not, I think of it this way, like, Super Mario 3D All-Stars
Yeah.
very plainly just ROM dumped those games onto the
Absolutely.
cart.
It's
To
about
me,
16 by 9.
but to me, that's not what this collection is.
Sure. No, no,
You
I
know,
absolutely agree.
because to me, I going to the mission mode is where I was really like, okay, I'm really vibing with what they're doing to Sonic Origins. Because when they said mission mode,
Mhm.
my assumption was that it was going to be, and here's Green Hill Zone Act 2, and you run through it, and you got to do it under this amount of time, or
Sure.
very basic things like that. But
Yeah.
that's not what mission mode is. In actuality, it's them taking like chunks of stages or remixing stages, putting in new hazards, remodifying bosses to do
Hmm.
different things, and challenging you to engage with mechanics and character ideas that you don't engage with otherwise as you're playing the games regularly.
Sure.
And to
Yeah.
me, that's what Sonic Origins is about. It's about giving people like myself not only the ability to play through these games again, or for the first time in the case of CD and Sonic 3 for me, but also experience them in these kind of different ways, whether that means the
Sure.
story mode or the mission mode. And to me, that is worth the money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very subjective. That is content that I would never even dream
Sure.
of engaging with because when I am playing Sonic, and I'm not as big of a Sonic fan as you, I don't enjoy these games as much. My goal is to get to the end of them, see all the stages, understand what the changes are from the past games or not, and then move on with my life. And I think that seeing how effort has been put into other collections to be more comprehensive in terms of side content that I feel is more important, what being other games, other versions of games and things like that. That is where I feel like the modern collection is ideal, is
Sure.
in that preservation, and this one kind of kneecaps that in a couple of
Yeah.
ways, which we haven't even mentioned. The and I can't speak to this except for the few things that you mentioned to me offhand the other day, the older mode, the classic mode for each
Yeah.
of the games is in 4x3, but it isn't the same version of the old game because they
Right.
changed them things, and like the fact that they are using this as an excuse, quote unquote, to get rid of the older versions of the games, and they don't have it filled out with these other games that are inaccessible. It feels like a focused version, but that I don't think really recognizes why it's important to preserve these games and why game preservation is important, and where the effort of people like Capcom and Konami have been
Yeah.
going with their collections that I think do the collection idea a lot better. The changes here are good, but I don't think they're the most important thing you can do for a collection to make these games not only accessible or not just better, but more accessible in terms of a wider variety of these games and such.
I mean, it's like I get what you're saying, and I agree insofar as that they never should have delisted the original versions.
Of course,
I think
yeah,
that's fucking terrible. I think Rockstar made that mistake, and Rockstar makes the mistakes, and nobody else has to ever do that
yeah.
again, right?
I believe they undid the mistake, so good for
And they
them.
undid the mistake, and I'm hopeful that Sega will do the same thing.
They might.
But this is not that collection. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? If you want that collection, you have this Sega Genesis one, and I would hope that
Yeah,
they will release the same things for these other systems as we've been talking about. Like what I think the ideal situation is that we get a Sega Game Gear collection, and that
sure.
has all
Yeah,
these
hopefully.
games. And
Sega's Game Gear Online. Let's fucking go.
but I want that collection, right? And
Yeah,
for me personally, it's hard to begrudge Sega Origins, Sonic Origins for not being that collection when that was never its intention in the first place.
sure.
It
But
was
I think obviously very subjective. But I
right.
would say that's where that's what it should have been. That should have been the intent,
Yeah,
in
sure.
my opinion.
No, I get that, but that's not what they wanted it to be. And
Sure.
they're more than willing to put those games elsewhere, and I hope they keep doing that the way they have been with.
Yeah, well, I think
But
the interesting is they're willing to put these games elsewhere, but with asterisk, 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 asterisk. Is
sure,
that Sega Sonic CD isn't available to purchase except for on
yeah,
Steam and Xbox Store. Okay, now that's gone, and of course we just talked about that. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles, this is the only way you can access that game, and it's not in its original version, and it's not in the Classics collection. It's not on Genesis Online.
yeah,
God damn it! Is these versions are the new versions of these games. They are the most accessible, the most modern versions of these games, but they could go back and add these things to these games to other ways to play them, but they haven't, and frankly, I don't think they will because they put their effort towards remaking them in this way and selling them as a $40 collection with only 4 games as opposed to the value of game time within all the other collections that they've made.
sure,
That's where the difference kind of irks me a little bit, even though I don't care that much. I'm not a huge Sonic fan. I'm
yeah.
not a Genesis fan. I've played a handful of games. This doesn't affect me personally, but on the most like base level of knowing the way that game preservation is trending and how other people are handling collections, that intent just seems misguided to me.
I think you're looking at it for something that it's not. Is my feeling
I am,
because
yeah, absolutely.
but no,
But
but what
that's the
I
problem, and that's why it's not
yeah,
as
but
good to me.
no, but what I'm saying is I look at this. The reason that I think people look at it through the lens you're looking at it through is because they view it as a Genesis collection.
Yeah,
What I view it as is Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania for
sure.
Genesis games.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And those are two completely different intentions. Those are two
Mhm.
completely different design philosophies. One is about taking a bunch of games in their ROM states or in modified ROM states and shipping them on a cartridge as many as you can fit.
Yeah.
The other is about curating particular games, adding new features to them, making them more robust,
Mhm.
and presenting them for a new audience. That's what
Sure. Yeah,
Banana
yeah.
Mania did. That's what this does. Banana Mania is not a collection of Monkey Ball games. It's
Mhm.
not a collection of their sixth generation titles.
Yeah.
It very well could have been, hey, let's just put these 3 Monkey Ball games in there, and then let's put in a version of Step and Roll, and let's get the handheld titles and make it a Monkey Ball collection. But the goal of that was let's take these 3 Monkey Ball games from a similar era,
Yeah.
and graphically enhance them and add in these side modes and everything and unlockables and gallery content and ship that.
Mhm.
That's what Sonic Origins is, but it just so happens that it's for a generation of games that is more closely connotated with the Genesis collection
Oh,
instead.
absolutely, and I think that connotation is absolutely different. But
Yeah.
I think it's an important distinction to make. Is there's a lot more value in the length and quality, not necessarily quality. That's not the right word to use, but in terms of how much time you can spend in these games, the fact they are newer games, older games are worth less nowadays. They are shorter. They are adhere to design philosophies that most people vibe with today. And of course, remaking them in this way where you don't have to use lives and stuff like that, I do think is a step in the right direction. But these games are older, they are shorter. I don't think that they hold as much value as something like all the Monkey Ball games with all of the content that they offer.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the intent, what I like about Sonic Origins is it makes them more than just four short single button 90s platformers.
Sure, yeah.
And that's what I think is successful about this presentation of these Sonic games. Because I'd be right there with you if it just was, here's the four Sonic games, they're in 16 by 9 now,
Yeah.
go spend $40 on that. But that's not what this package is. And in my time digging into it, I've come to appreciate the mission mode, I've come to appreciate the leaderboards, I've come to appreciate the story mode, and what those do to make these Genesis games a more substantive experience than playing Sonic 2 on, NSO Online, running through it and being done. Because that's not what Origins asks you to do with the games, and why I'm so compelled to keep playing them, even though I've beaten the game. Because the first thing I did was run through the story mode, which I like the ways that they kind of bookend the games with these brand new cutscenes, and they present them as in the order of the in-game chronology opposed to release order. That's all fun. But then in doing so, I have unlocked the mirror modes for all the games. Now I want to run back through them in mirror mode to get more coins, to unlock more things of the gallery, and then take those skills I've accrued into the mission mode to stretch my understanding of this design and these characters' mechanics differently, and again gain a different appreciation for these Genesis games that are put together. That's not something you would get in the sort of 14 game, here's every Sonic game released before 2000's collection. And that's fine, but those are just different intentions.
Here's the thing. That's true, but it's also kind of not. I mean, even with the special versions on NES and SNES Online, that's, to a much smaller degree, but that's kind of what you're talking about. And I know you don't have the Sega Genesis Classics Collection, but it does have achievements. It does have different ways to start the games and try just a chunk of it or recontextualize it some way, do a mirror mode. Those are in that game collection, which has way more features in terms of also having rewind, which this doesn't have, and changing the filters, which this doesn't have, and having it be this huge library of game, which obviously this doesn't have. Like, I don't think it needs to be one or the other. I think this should have and could have been both, especially for it being sold as this Origins of Sonic. It could have been Origins of Sonic in a much more content-rich way and complete way on a similar level, and I would say hopefully better than what they've done with all these other collections.
I mean, I guess so. I just feel like we keep talking past the actual content of the collections are, because I see your point entirely.
Yeah.
But it's just that's not what Sonic Origins is trying to accomplish.
I understand that, but I think that's a valid criticism.
No.
It could have and should have done that, and that's why it's not underwhelming to me. I'm going to play these games. I'm going to finish them. It's not going to bother me much, but from the way that content has been rolled out in the last few years, this breaks that trend in a way that I think signals something that most people aren't particularly happy with.
Yeah, it could be. I just put more stock in what they have done. Have you played the story mode and the mission mode and things like that?
No, I've played half of Sonic 3.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think you might have a different outlook on how we're coming into the conversation had you done those other things.
Sure.
Which is, I think, what the actual heart of Sonic Origins is. Because I think I would be equally dissatisfied, and not to say that you are dissatisfied with the collection, but I'm
fine with it.
I'd be dissatisfied with the construction of the collection if I just isolatedly played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Knuckles, Sonic CD, and called it a day.
Sure.
Because I don't necessarily think that that's really the heart of the collection, as I was saying. The heart of the collection is how it celebrates these games through the mission mode, through the story mode, and how that makes it, again, more than just here is Sonic 2 again.
Sure.
Here's Sonic 2 contextualized differently.
Quick question, as someone who has not played through the story mode like you have, how much is added in terms of meshing content? Is it you beat Eggman in Sonic 1, it plays the cutscene, and then boom, you're into Sonic 2?
What it does is it's basically that, but you watch the credits for each game as they go by.
Oh, okay. So, but that's interesting because that doesn't add anything. You play Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, Sonic 3.
Yeah.
They play the cutscenes at the beginning of the games when you play them separately. It just is removing the need for you to shift over and press A to start the next game. So having it in a story mode is interesting, and I think it's a great idea, and it's a great way to recontextualize these, but it isn't like that much different
Sure.
between playing them in this collection separately, shifting it over, starting the next one, seeing the cutscene, going, seeing the credits, shifting the next one, yada yada yada.
Yeah, no, no, that's a fair point, but I like that presentation. But ultimately,
Absolutely,
that's good.
yeah.
It's semantic, but nonetheless, those cutscenes created for this game, part of the
Oh,
intention.
absolutely.
Again, part of the intention of making this more than just presenting these games again,
Yeah,
right?
and those are probably my favorite part of this entire thing.
Sure, but then I really think it's worth having a more time spent in the game, the different pillars of content, to see why this is more than just I wish that there were more games here, because
Sure.
I
Well,
think that's
and
yeah,
again, this is something that is very subjective for the two of us. We're different
yeah,
kinds of game players. I don't have the interest in engaging in side content. So when I'm looking
sure,
at this package, and I was wishing it wasn't mission modes and mirror modes, but more games for me to try. That's why
sure.
you want mission modes out of this. You want to go back and play these games. I've beaten Sonic 2. I'm probably never going to touch Sonic 2 again, even if it is mirror mode, even if it is mission mode. And of course, very subjective. I'm a different kind of game player. But the
Yeah,
reason that I would say I'm dissatisfied with the angle that they took, the content of this collection, is because engaging in older games in this way doesn't appeal to me. And frankly, I would say in terms of how they've presented collections in many other ways, it's not how most people in the modern day engage with replaying a game in a mission mode or a mirror mode and stuff like that. Those are cool bonuses, but when that is the content that they're adding into a collection as opposed to just bonuses, like those are the reason you buy this collection, is to play the mirror mode, is to play the story mode, is to see those cutscenes. But those are usually what you would see as bonuses in other collections, which do have much richer and more variety of content.
I I, I mean but I think that here's the situation, right? If you're never
Mm-hmm.
going to play Sonic 2 again, you're never going to play Sonic 2 again. But
Yeah.
for the people who have played Sonic 2 many, many, many times,
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Origins gives you a way to experience it through a different lens.
Sure,
And
except for those people who are kind of disappointed in it because it made these changes and that kind of thing. So,
yeah,
double-edged sword.
okay, sure, that's fair. But if we think about the gems or whatever it's called, the Mega Collection,
Yeah, on
whatever it
GameCube.
is on
Yeah,
GameCube.
Sonic Mega Collection.
If that is you play Sonic 2 and you're done playing Sonic 2.
Yeah.
What I like about Sonic Origins is it's more than that. It's about doing something different with Sonic 2. I think about even a collection like Super Mario All Stars, one
Mm-hmm.
of the collections of all time,
Of
right?
course, yeah. Also one of the first collections of all
Right.
time.
But ultimately you play through it, right? It's prettier. It's you can, but that's basically it, right?
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to regardless of whether or not you're going to play the mission mode again. What I like about Sonic Origins is in a similar way to what I like about Monkey Ball, but that's actually even a little bit doesn't really do even as much as this does to
Mm-hmm.
recontextualize those games. This gives me a way to play Sonic 2 differently.
Sure.
And that is really special and really interesting. If a lot of the times when we think about presenting these games again, whether that's in the collections you're saying or even the more because that Genesis one is cool, but I think the golden standard are those Capcom ones or the
Sure. No,
Konami
yeah,
ones. That's
absolutely.
gold. That's
They're a
gold
little more
standard.
focused.
Yeah, that really is just about only access. It's about here's an easy way to access these games and play a bunch of them,
Sure.
and that is cool. And that
Is that true though? I mean, I haven't
yes,
I wouldn't engage with the side content, but I believe that there are mission modes in the Mega Man collections, and there's obviously the libraries of all the images and stuff
and
like
that's
that,
in
which of course
Sonic
this
or
has
yeah.
too. Yeah, it has too. But I'm saying that stuff is the bonus content in those games, in those collections that people praise so highly, and I would say are the gold standard. But they're also on top of games that are more content rich in terms of offering you more games and stuff like that.
We've fucking exchanged verbal blows. We've gotten
Mm-hmm.
into the land of talking about collections that basically neither of us have actually played the side content in. So we're gonna wrap it here, unless you want to say anything else, or forever hold your peace about Sonic the Hedgehog. Just kidding, because Blue Blur Banter is a recurrent show now, apparently.
God, yeah, it's real frequent. We're always talking about Sonic, and we can't stop. But yeah, I can stop talking about Sonic Origins.
Sure.
My plan is to beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'm trudging my way through. It's fucking tough, let me tell you. And also play Sonic CD because those are the other
Sure.
two. Those are the two games in the collection I have not experienced this year. And probably never think about it again.
That's fair. See, for me, I really like these Sega collections a lot. Or they're more, like it's interesting because I think you raise a compelling point in my mind of like this isn't even really the intention of a collection, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If like Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, I think really
Remade
was
those games visually.
it remade those visually, but and technically like this did too. I mean, it did redid sprite work and changed the screen ratio. I think I'm kind of being hung up on this idea that like if this was let me think one point about this because I guess I got one final point to talk
Yeah,
about.
no, it's fine. Hey, keep going.
If this was Sonic Adventure 2 and
Mm.
Sonic Heroes, it would be and it was this same scale of side content, it would be
Yeah,
about a commensurate value proposition because both Sonic's Adventure 1 and 2 are already quite available.
sure.
But even if those graphics were just cleaned up a little bit and it was this same style of thing, it would be more of a of like a remaster trilogy akin
Mm.
to a Crash or akin to a
Yeah,
Monkey Ball, opposed to like the 3D Sonic collection. I
yeah.
think like I'm if these games I think just look different, there'd be a different set of expectations around them. You know what
No,
I mean?
I think there
Yeah,
absolutely would be because we've had this precedent since we mentioned
sure.
it earlier. Mario 3, not Mario, Super Mario All Stars.
Yeah,
It remade those games not only
right.
visually on the level of Super Nintendo, but the physics and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And I don't know if any there is in terms of side content. I doubt there's any, but also that was a long fucking time ago. But also it's interesting, like this
yeah,
seems about the same in terms of the amount of effort put into remaking all the sprites in Mario 1,
sure.
2, 3, and World, and like as opposed to this where they clean it up a little bit. They had widescreen. Like this feels like a collection that should have come out in the GameCube era. But we had a GameCube era
Yeah,
Sonic collection, and it had more content in terms of number of titles and even unlockables. I think that's something interesting I've heard about those older collections is you can like unlock Sonic,
yeah, Game Gear
Knuckles
games.
Chaotix and the
Yeah,
Game Gear games and stuff like that. And I wish that was here, even if it was
sure.
hidden content. They weren't like selling it on that, but like playing through story mode gives you the fucking the Mega Drive version of or not Mega Drive. That's the name for the Genesis elsewhere. The
Master System is what you're
Master
thinking
System.
of.
God, I can never remember that name. The Master System version of
Yeah,
Sonic One or something like that, with that kind of reference for the old content. That doesn't need to be remade or polished up in any way, but just having it available, I feel like would make me feel like there was a lot more attention to detail. As it stands,
yeah,
I think what's here is good. It is the best way to play these games, especially if you're not
sure.
a hardcore fan. But it also does it walks a weird line at that point then because while we're not major Sonic fans, we have heard plenty of complaints. In fact, probably more complaints about this collection from the people who technically this should be aimed at. So
Yeah,
this is a weird collection. I think it has unleashed very interesting discussions, but we'll see what they do in the future because I
yeah.
would love to see these other games become accessible because now we don't have to worry about Sonic 3 and Knuckles anymore. You can fucking play it on your system.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I actually think the more we talk about this, the more I think the Banana Mania analog is the correct one to draw
Sure.
because it's actually quite similar in terms of that was not a collection for hardcore fans. John
Mm-hmm.
Cartwright put out a great review where he's like, "This doesn't game doesn't feel right,"
Feel right. Yeah.
you know. But what Banana Mania served to do was give people new to Monkey Ball a really great entry point into the series.
Yeah.
And frankly, there's probably less to do in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania than there is in Sonic Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Like those
But
conventions,
you can play as Kiryu in that one.
you can play as Kiryu, but you have to pay for Kiryu. You want to talk about weird fucking DLC practices? Banana Manias are way worse than this somehow.
I think paying for costumes is makes more sense than paying for menu animations.
Yeah, but those costumes are not even included in the deluxe version,
Oh, I don't even fucking know,
which is
man.
peculiar. But basically, my point
God,
being,
Sega's so fucked up.
yeah, my point being, I think that this is a commensurate package for that reason. It is
Sure.
visually cleaner, more robust ways to experience these particular games that actually I think do speak to us. And we're probably the
Sure.
people that Sega was clearly trying to speak to with this. Because the
Yeah.
people who really care have these games a million other ways, right?
Yes.
And so I think for
Well, you and I have these games a million other ways as well.
yeah. But for people trying to get into Sonic,
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to do it.
Yeah. And that about does it for our discussion. Let us know what you think about. Namaste, motherfucker.
Is that a Legend of Hank line? No, that'd be mother flocker cocker spaniel or whatever he says.
Jesus Christ.